Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name's Nitza, and I'm going to be making French onion soup today. I received a lot of messages the last time I made French onion soup, and I posted it on Facebook. A lot of people wanted my recipe, and since I really don't have a recipe and I wing it every time, I figured I would just videotape it, and that would solve the problem. So let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is you're going to heat up your pot. You're going to add 1 stick of butter, and I like to add some olive oil. While that's warming up, you want to keep that on low to medium heat because you don't want to scorch the onions or get too much color right away on them. This is going to be a simmering process. So I like to take 5 large sweet onions, and it's important that they're sweet onions. I'm going to start chopping them up. I like to cut them in half, top to bottom first. And then I like to cut them with the grain, not against the grain. I just feel that the onion holds up much better as it's stewing for as long as we need to let it stew. You don't want to cut it too fine or too thin because you want them to keep some of their consistency throughout the cooking process. All right, so you're going to scoop them up and put them in your pot. At first they're going to sizzle, that's fine, but you do want to lower the heat a little bit eventually. Now what I add at this point is some salt. Now you need to be very careful with the salt. Just add a very little bit. We're going to be using beef broth, and beef broth is just really high in sodium in the first place. But the reason it's important that you add some salt in the sauteing process is because it just helps draw out a lot of that liquid and moisture that's in the onion. Now this is where you can be pretty liberal with your pepper. Fresh pepper is always best, fresh cracked pepper. Okay, and at this point you need to add thyme. I just choose a dry thyme leaf, and you're going to add 1 teaspoon. That's 1 teaspoon of thyme. After you measure out your thyme, I think it's important that you actually rub the thyme before dropping it into the onions. Rubbing any type of dry herb is going to release the natural oils that are inside of the herb. Okay, and what I found to really go well in French onion soup is balsamic vinegar. And I like to add 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. At this point, you're going to stir your pot. Again, you don't want too much sizzling going on. This is going to be a very slow process to sweat out and render down your onions. The longer you can stew these onions, the better. And you will keep the lid on throughout the whole time in order for the moisture to remain in your pot. It may look, remember we're going to have 5 large onions in here, so it may look like it's a lot of onions, but that is really going to reduce down from what you began with. So we're going to put our lid onto our pot, and please do keep an eye on your onions. You're going to keep it on a low heat, and you will stir occasionally. So after about an hour of the onions stewing, this is what they should look like. They should be nice and brown, caramelized, and they will be in their own juices because, again, the onions are going to be sweating out a lot of liquid. At this point, I add 4 32 ounces of beef broth. I do like Swanson, it's worked well for me. I've used others though. So after you add that into your sauteed onions after an hour, you will put it into your pot of stewed onions. That's what that should look like. At this point, it'll take another hour of boiling. I do like to keep the pot without a lid on it. That way a lot of the liquid can evaporate out, and it seems that it intensifies the flavor and it just darkens up your French onion soup. But I would keep that at a rolling boil, maybe medium heat, and do keep an eye on it again. So at this point we can put our French onion soup together. You will need a bowl that is oven safe. You're going to ladle out your French onion soup. To whatever serving you want. You can use Melba snacks, which you can pretty much find at any grocery store. That's worked fine before. But I recently discovered toasted bread. This brand particular has double fiber, which we can all use some extra fiber in our diet. You just place that on top of your soup, and I ask the person at the deli to slice my provolone nice and thick, and you place your provolone on top of your toasted bread, and you put this into the oven. Okay, and I have one prepared for you to show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. I usually put it on broil so it can get the top nice and dark and melt your cheese. And this is the time that you can enjoy your French onion soup. Be careful. It's very hot, but delicious. Thank you, and I hope your French onion soup turns out as good as mine did and your family enjoys it just as much as we do. Bye.